ready for this? Huh? You ready?
Mm-hmm.
You sure? Act like you. What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? My name is Jesse, and welcome to the Jess Takes a Village podcast, where we focus on regular people who have used any form of education, whether it be formal, vocational, or even life experiences, to propel their lives in a positive direction. Now, usually, as I said in the last episode and the episode before that, we don't really have celebrities. We don't. But I figured that on this episode, I introduce you to the landlord, the queen of the ship, the one who runs the show, the one who gave me the skin complexion and almost an accent. Ladies and gentlemen, do I call you by your name or do I just say mommy?
No, just say Andrea.
We could just say Andrea. So, Andrea, welcome to the village. So, obviously, this is one of those spur-of-the-moment things. So, I figured, you know what? My mom just got home from work. What a perfect time to bother her and bring her on the podcast. So, without giving you guys too much, but giving you guys a nice little spill, this studio where we're at, it's in the basement. And I was fortunate enough to have a mother who was, listen, she nagged, argued, screamed, but my mother supports the dream. So let's give her another special round of applause. You can clap for yourself too, it's okay. Let's give her another special round of applause for on just the support in itself. So, obviously, I know you. But I only know you in one light. I know you as Andrea the mom. I know you as Andrea the provider. And I know you as Andrea the helper. But who is Andrea the person? What were like some things you did as a child growing up?
I have no memory.
You have no memory. Here we go. But I'm pretty sure they were like these hobbies. You know, let's say grandma went to work. What were you doing?
Watching the soap operas.
So, like, what kind of, what's your go-to soap opera?
My go-to soap opera is General Hospital. I've been watching it for the past 40 years.
You've been watching the same show for 40 years?
That's correct.
So, assumingly, you've been keeping up with this show, like, literally, like, this whole time?
That's right.
Wow. Any favorite actors?
They come and go.
40 years on TV. Yeah.
Characters come and go. The highlight of General Hospital was the Luca Laura era.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
So I want to start off at your earliest beginnings. I want to say, without giving up your age, the year is 19...
I'm 62.
That's good. So without, I guess you gave up the age, but it's 1969. You're in Bedford-Stuyvesant.
No, I came here in 1970.
Oh, you came 70?
Yeah.
Well, a year off. So it's 1970.
Mm-hmm.
You're in Bedford-Stuyvesant.
Mm-hmm. Just
describe you stepping foot in Brooklyn during those times compared to where you were coming from. So they don't know, but obviously you were born in Trinidad. So I want you to describe the differences between where you were living in Trinidad and where you were living in Bed-Stuy.
Well, there's no comparison. You come to a country where there's a bunch of abandoned buildings.
Yeah.
You know, you grew up in Trinidad. There's land, open land, like in the South, open land. Our people are cordial. When I came to America back in 1970, there was a lot of abandoned buildings on the block.
Right.
And there was a lot of drunkards on the street.
Jeez.
Every Friday night, they used to stand at the corner and serenade. And
they were singing like outside?
Yeah.
So this was like before Church Ave in Utica.
Yeah.
This is way before those days.
Yeah, way before that. Even before you were a concept.
A concept. Yeah, that's a good one.
You know?
So,
but the neighborhood has changed. Now it's called Clinton Hills.
Yeah, shout
There's
out
no
gentrification.
There's no more abandoned buildings, you know.
And the rent is through the roof.
Yeah.
And I would say, we are fortunate enough to have your mom, my grandma, still in the same place when she left the islands and came straight to America. Same house all my life.
Yes.
So, you growing up in the house, how many siblings you have?
Well, there's a total of 5, 3 boys, 2 girls.
3 boys, 2 girls. And what's your place? What's your place?
I'm the second in line.
You're the second in line.
Yeah.
The second in line. What's your relationship with your mom like growing up? It's so strange saying your mom but grandma.
I don't I can't say it was more like an authoritarian kind of relationship.
Right.
It's not like your generation. You got a lot of input. You talk.
Yeah.
My generation, your parents said this, your parents said that.
Right.
You follow through.
Right.
You don't follow through, you know what's coming.
What's
right?
coming?
Yeah.
What's
the belt.
coming?
The belt is coming.
Yeah.
The belt is coming.
Okay.
Your generation has a lot more freedom to express yourself, to disagree, say yes, no, I don't want to do this.
Right.
My generation didn't have that opportunity.
So I believe the quote from your generation is kids are to be seen and not heard.
That is correct.
And for our generation is kids have opinions.
Yeah.
You know?
Too much opinion sometimes.
Too much. That's a fair summation
Too
of
much
it.
opinion.
Too much opinions or too many.
Yeah.
Too many for lack of better terms. So you with your mom, obviously, where's grandpa at this time?
My parents were divorced.
Okay, so you were living straight from Trinidad, smack in Bed-Stuy. You, your four siblings,
Right.
and grandma.
Yes.
So having a single mother in the house, what are like some things you noticed?
What I noticed that she was always working all the time.
Right.
You know, she not lazy.
Right.
You know, if she left us home, she told us what is it we needed to do, and it had to be done. By
Or
the time
else.
she got or else.
Or else.
Or else. Everything is or else.
Wow.
You know, so you listen and you obey.
So I assume, obviously, because I know what type of worker you are as a person, you're very hard worker, you're very diligent. Would you say a lot of those ways came from grandma? From seeing how grandma was operating?
Yeah.
Her getting up relentlessly, working?
She set the example. None of us are lazy. None of us are lazy.
I think I got some of those genes too.
We're self-motivated individuals. Right. We're hard workers.
Very disciplined. And I feel like that's the word.
Discipline.
My personal word for you is
discipline. Your generation didn't. Not all the kids have that self-motivating.
Absolutely.
You know.
Absolutely. We have to look for it.
Yeah.
Like there has to be some type of seminar, some type of YouTube video, even watching a friend.
Yeah.
You guys had the self-motivation.
Yeah.
But I think your self-motivation, I always say, people who are raised on survival mode versus people who are raised with a bunch of opportunities, they perceive the world very differently. Because I would only assume... but I'm saying...
mode.
I'm only saying that because of when you come... I would say this. When you come to a new place, you have to, as in Rome, do as the Romans. You have to learn a whole different culture, right?
Yeah.
It's a whole different way of life. The neighborhood probably looks a little bit different. The people are different. The schooling is different. The way you handle yourselves in the street is a little bit different. So as opposed to, as you're leaving one environment and you're coming to another, I would say survivor. Maybe that's a bad word, but it's kind of a little bit of like a survival tactic because you have to figure it out It's an adjustment, a gradual adjustment. Yeah. Like,
but
it's
easier for children more so than it is for teenagers.
Oh, true.
Children under the age of 10 can assimilate a lot easier. Teenagers,
right?
That's where the problem lies, because they leave one environment where the grandmother, the uncles were more attentive, and then they come here, and their mother or their father, both of them are constantly working, and they're home by themselves.
Right.
It's psychologically, my generation may not have seen that, but that makes the teenager a little bit suffer from depression until it comes to a head where they start acting out also.
Yeah.
So it varies from family to family.
It does vary. So as early as you can remember, what was your first job?
My first job was house cleaning. And I started doing that when I was 13.
Wow, it's so funny. Obviously you've seen the intro episode. Yeah. I was explaining to them that I started at 18. Right. So who knows? Maybe it's a hereditary trait.
So my mother, she had a lot of side hustle because she was a single parent.
I remember
things were cheap back in the 70s and the 80s, but the income driven wasn't economically there. So she had this lady out in Queens that she used to go and clean the apartment for.
Right.
On the weekends, and she used to get $26
for the weekend,
just for going there like on a Saturday.
Okay.
To clean $26. So she took me one day and says, "Well, this is what you're going to do." Oh, she showed me what I needed to do.
Yeah.
The next time I went, I had to do it. I got the $26.
That's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. But I had to give her half of that. You know, I didn't like it.
Taxes.
No, I did not like it. But it's a lesson learned.
Okay.
You know?
What would you say the lesson is?
The lesson learned is that you have to pay for things in life.
You do.
You know? It's not that she was saying, "Oh, I'm taking half your money," you know, this and that and the other. It wasn't like that. It was more of a learning curve for me to learn to be responsible. You get a job, you got bills to pay.
Absolutely.
So you learn that way. I mean, it went on for a while. I wasn't happy. And from the other half of the money, I had to learn to save $5 out of it. You know? And that's how it starts.
Jeez. So you're cleaning houses at 13, right?
Yeah.
And you make your first little bit of money.
Yeah.
Even though you gotta pay the piper, you make
Yeah.
your first little bit of money, and you start to determine. You start to have value of self-worth.
Yeah,
right? 'Cause it's
value
like-
of self-worth and,
Yeah.
and a sense of responsibility.
So you
too.
get the self-worth,
So I'm going to work,
right?
even though it's twice for the month. I'm going to work. I'm collecting this money. I gotta pay the piper,
Right?
and I have to learn to budget with what I
To budget
have.
what
Right.
you have.
Right.
So then starts a little bit of like the financial discipline.
That's right.
So I always
The
remember
learning curve.
the learning curve. So I always remember, you know, as a kid, you always mentioned you went to James Madison High School.
Yeah.
But there was one particular program you always used to tell us that you did in high school. Could you share with the audience who's watching what program you were doing?
Yeah, they had an internship.
Internship.
You go to school 1 week.
Co-op.
Yeah, co-op.
Mhm.
Well, that's the new terminology now. But these days it's unpaid internship.
Yeah.
Right. I was in the co-op program at James Madison. I worked 1 week and school 1 week,
Mm-hmm.
and I ended up at Alfred Dunhill.
Okay.
It was an English company,
Mhm.
and I worked there during the summer full time, and then I went back to school, and then after I graduated, they kept me on.
What was the salary like?
It wasn't that much, but it's a start. You know what I mean? It's a start. And then when I saved enough money because the minute I turned 18,
I remember. This is the story.
I moved out.
I know that's
I
that's
moved
the
out.
big story.
I got my own place because I wanted independence.
Absolutely.
You know, my mother meant well and everything, but I did not have the opportunity to go out, hang out with friends,
Yeah.
and that sort of thing. And I said, you know, let me save my money. And as soon as I turned 18, I graduated in June. By July, I found myself an apartment, and I was gone.
Going with the wind.
Gone with the wind.
So you're 18.
Yeah.
Living by yourself.
Yeah.
You got
And rent was cheap then, too.
what's the rent prices like?
I paid about $280 a month.
How many bedrooms?
1 bedroom.
One bedroom
Yeah,
for $280.
Yeah.
Man, life was good.
And that was out in Canarsie. I didn't know
Okay.
it was out in Canarsie at that time,
Yeah.
but it was Avenue B.
Avenue B.
Yeah, and
Avenue B in where?
86th Street. I think.
86. Avenue B in 86.
Yeah, borderline Canarsie.
Yeah, okay. So you're 18, you got your own job,
Mm-hmm.
you got your sense of self-worth, you're disciplined. How do you start to navigate into your 20s? Are you looking for a different job? Do you want to make more money? Are you comfy where you're at? What's like your mindset?
Yeah, you're comfy where you were at. But put it this way. Back then, life was different. Your generation look at life on a total different level
Right.
than my generation did.
Different game, different
Well,
rules.
Our generation was looking more for security.
Mm-hmm.
You know, jobs,
Job stability.
stability.
Absolutely.
That's what we were looking for. That's what I was looking for.
Right.
And after I left Alfred Dunhill, I went to. Gee, I don't even remember the name of the company.
That
But it
far
was,
back.
but it was another English company too. And then eventually I ended up at AMBAC. It's a
I remember
financial
AMBAC. I remember AMBAC.
And then my last uh, financial job was at the Bank of New York.
And you're doing all of this without any college? A little college, some college? I mean, I know, but
no,
share it.
when I was at AMBAC,
Yeah.
I did make an attempt to go to college. I did go. I spent a semester and no, 2 semesters there at BMCC.
And why not finish?
The reason why I didn't finish was the cost.
Here we go again with these prices.
It was the cost.
Yep. I know in one episode, in a couple episodes before when I interviewed Christian, kind of like, it's not the same thing, but kind of like in that whole college realm.
Yeah.
He wasn't able to continue education because of that same financial issue.
Right.
But they dropped his classes,
right.
as opposed as if you simply couldn't
right.
afford it.
I couldn't afford
which
it.
Which is normal,
right.
I
couldn't afford it.
Right.
And like I said, I didn't have someone there to guide me, to explain how the system works.
Here comes the shared information thing again. If you don't know it, right.
Right. I didn't have anybody to guide me, to show me what's what. I know eventually that the company that I was working for, and that's another thing I didn't know. Like I said, information is key in this world.
Yeah, very key.
It's definitely key. I didn't have somebody to say, well, da 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 da, right? But eventually, depending on your circle of friends,
absolutely,
your circle of networking,
absolutely,
you tend to gradually find these things out.
Do you know what we call that here on this show? We call that the village.
Okay.
Right? Because, as you always say, it takes a village to raise a child. That village or that environment is responsible for your grooming and for your success. Right. So without those members or those key members of that village, your chances of success probably won't be as high as someone else.
It doesn't necessarily have to be somebody that you know. It can just be a random person.
But even that random person is technically still a member, because the members in the village, they contribute towards the person's overall success. Whether it be Professor Roden, who helped me get into Brooklyn College,
and he was a client of mine.
And he was a client of yours. So that's usually how the world works. I don't know if the audience doesn't know because I didn't share, but at a time my mom was she was a field interviewer.
Yeah, I worked for a research several research companies.
Several research companies.
I'm a real hustler here.
So my mom, while being on the interview, she's interviewing this woman. And the woman, she's not in the best of best health wise, right? And her husband is around, and my mom being social, just like me being social, she meets the guy. She starts to tell the guy, hey, my son.
He tells me what he does for a living, and I just casually mentioned that my son is he's interested in teaching and blah 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 blah, and then he gives me some suggestion, and then the next 4 months when I go back, we still chit-chatting. He's asking me about you, and then he says, can I get his phone number? Absolutely. And I gave him your phone number, and he followed up, and you called him and he called you.
But the funny thing about how the world works is, if I truly believe, if you did not meet him, I would not have went to grad school.
Well, that's
because
true too.
Listen, you got to give people their credit. Mm-hmm. I went to an interview with Pace University. Literally a couple weeks ago. I remember I was upset. I'm like, you know what? This interview did not go well. My GPA was low. And I remember I called Professor Roden, and he said, Jesse, what's up, baby? How's it going? And I'm like, I'm good. He goes, man, your mom talked so highly about you. Listen, you need to put on a suit, walk into Brooklyn College, and tell them you want to join their grad school program in teaching. And in my head, I'm like, what? And he's like, no, you go there. I promise you they have something for you there.
Yeah.
And, at the time, I'm sitting there like, what? This guy can't help me. He doesn't come from where I come from. My mom just met this guy from, interviewing his wife. Lo and behold, I go to Brooklyn College. He goes, bring them everything, Jesse. They have an option for you. And do you know?
And you never laid eyes on a person.
And I till this day, I have not met him. Now, the strange thing about it is I get into the grad school. And, during my program was 2.5 years, and I'm calling him calling him throughout the program. You know, every semester, hey, you know, thank you so much for helping me out. The strange thing about it is, I won't reveal the name of the school, but he goes, hey, man, you know, where are you working? And I gave him the location. And it's so strange. He goes, you know, I used to go to an elementary school over there when I was a kid. And I was like, what's the name of the school? And he gave me the name of the school. And I was like, I work there now. And he was like, no way. And I'm like, yeah, you know, Professor Roden. He's like, wow, baby, wow. And I'm like, you know, thank you. And you see that indirect relationship you had with him, he now became a member of my village as his wife was a member of yours. So
he was also a member of my village too.
Absolutely.
You know, but those are the things. And you know, I repeatedly say to you and the others, if my mother had known half the things that I've known, I would have been in a different category.
Absolutely. And I listen, I also would like to give you your credit, because I could say to you in front of the camera, behind closed doors, if I had listened, let's say 10% more, I'd probably be living in Hollywood Hills.
That's right.
But I want to kind of go back a little bit.
Okay.
So the year is 1987, right? And you're getting ready to have your first child.
Yeah.
You know, 1987. And you're getting ready to have your first child. But you're working.
Single mother.
You're single mother. I don't know if you're technically a single mother because of you're here.
Yeah, and
where's my dad?
He's in Trinidad.
No, my dad's not there, obviously, because he, you know, got deported. No. My dad's there because what is he waiting for at this point?
Yeah, he's waiting for me to import him.
He's here.
It's a running joke. It's no offense. He knows that. I tell everybody I imported my husband like a good bottle of Heineken because he likes to drink Heineken.
Yeah, you make him seem as if he's like foreign goods. But, oh well. But so you're here, single mom. You're working. What's life like?
Life is good.
Life is good. You're able to afford your bills?
Yeah, I can afford the bills, afford my apartment,
right?
Afford a babysitter for my child, at home for somebody to come into the home to look after my child while I go to work.
Now, you're still transitioning, right? Because you've just dealt with moving out. You navigated through your 20s. You're working for AMBAC at the time. And this is, 87. I think you're still at AMBAC. And you have my older sister. And now, when does the family dynamic really start to mean a lot to you? When do you figure and say, hey, this is what I want as a person? I want a 2-parent household. I want to have kids. I want to have a family. And I just want to live a little bit better than I was before.
I see. I never thought about that.
Why not?
I don't know. I never thought about that. All I knew, like I said, everything is environmental.
Right.
If thoughts are put into your head,
right,
you think along those lines. If you're not being fed those things, there's that empty space.
So you was just
but
okay,
eventually, I wanted something different. I know I came from a broken home, and I knew that if I wanted to have children, I wanted a husband there. I wanted my children to have a 2-parent household.
Right.
Was it easy? No.
No.
But that's what I wanted. And like I tell anybody, I worked.
Right.
But my whole goal is that when I got married, I just wanted to do this. But it didn't turn out that way.
Well, obviously, you know.
You know, I'm still a working person.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, I also want to speak about something you did for my dad, a.k.a. your husband.
Yeah.
So my dad comes here.
Yeah.
Takes him a while to find a job because, you know, he's trying to, figure it all out.
That, like I said, the adjustment for teenagers and adults
is extremely different.
Especially when they know they had everything figured out.
Right.
Where they were.
Yeah.
And then to come here and have to start all over from scratch.
From scratch. Because you came here young.
Yeah.
And Daddy came here more so in his late 20s.
Yes.
So, Daddy comes here. He's working in a factory. Right? He's working in a factory. But you knew that he was somewhat of a skilled plumber at the time.
Well, I didn't know he was somewhat of a skilled plumber. That was
that was the bread and butter. That was the craft.
Right. No, that was his craft in Trinidad.
That was the craft.
But coming here, you needed to have degrees. You needed this. You needed that. And he didn't have that.
He didn't.
His occupation came on the job training.
Absolutely.
You know.
How do you get the job?
Where?
At the first plumbing job.
Oh, he went and applied, but he applied, but they didn't hire him as a plumber. They hired him as a plumber's helper.
Right.
Because he did not have any what do you call the thing on the resume? He didn't have
experience.
Yes, he didn't have. As far as he had the experience, but in this country,
he had no experience.
He had no experience.
He was just brand new.
And that happens to a lot of people that come from other countries too. You know, they say, "Oh yeah, but not in this country." So he had to start at the bottom again.
So one thing I always give you credit for is you helped my dad navigate through life too, and you helped him get to different. I mean, you got to give you your credit. You helped him get to different levels.
Was it easy? No.
I mean, of course not. But where do you get that from? Where do you get that ability to just give people like that little motivational?
But like I said, if somebody had done that for me,
right,
I would have been in a different category.
So basically, if you had you as a friend or a parent, straight to the moon, right.
That's why I always encourage you. Yes, you have your friends that are in the box, but you need to get out of the box.
Absolutely.
And then you have those friends too that they want to keep you in that box. Absolutely. They don't want you to go out and mingle and learn new things.
Right.
Life is about learning. If you stay stationary, you're never gonna move. That's why you gotta stick one foot in front of the other.
One foot in front of the other. So obviously, I know you just came home from work. You had a pretty, long day. Just a couple more questions. So, how I'm looking at you right now is, at this point of your life, this is the happiest. This is literally the happiest that I've seen you, right? I mean, the people who follow me on Instagram, they know you're a plant lover, right? You always buying stuff from Amazon. You enjoy what you do for a living. What are you doing right now? Share with the world.
Oh, I work for a mental health clinic in Brooklyn.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what are you doing? What kind of work?
I'm an office assistant.
Good.
Yeah, I'm an office assistant.
And I know you've always been in the office world. So what is it about?
No, I have not always been in the office world. When I left the Bank of New York in 2007,
now you go. Good.
Oh, when I left the Bank of New York in 2007. I took like a whole year off because I got laid off.
Right.
And then the unemployment ran out.
Right.
So I had to look for a job. Right. I went and worked for National Grid as a
I remember.
Yeah,
the National Grid days.
Yeah, but then also too, while working at National Grid, I was a realtor also.
I remember.
You know? And the National Grid thing sort of like damaged my feet a little bit, so I had to give that up.
Seen the boots you was wearing?
Yeah. and then that's how I ended up doing research work.
Right.
Working for these research companies.
You know the mistake that I made? As a kid, I still see you in the light of getting up, going to work. I remember vividly seeing you walk down the block. You see me outside. And I always be like, my mom works in the office. Throughout my whole elementary school, middle school years, even a little bit in high school, my mom works in the office. But you've really been somewhat of a jack of all trades, always willing to get the job done. I remember, I do remember the National Grid days. Yeah. I remember seeing you in the blue suit.
Yeah.
The boots.
The hoodie.
The hoodie, The hoodie, the pants, the boots.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember the stories you would tell us of when you would go read meters. Yeah. The things you would see, in those basements.
I learned a lot with that. And then the highlight point is when I did the research work.
Absolutely.
Driving all over Brooklyn, Long Island. I got to know places that I've never seen before. And that was an eye opener for me.
Right.
And then the people that I would meet, and they would really educate me, tell me things, and I would come home and I would share that with you, and I would say, Jesse, why don't you try doing this, da. You took some of the advice.
I took some, not all. In fairness, I took some.
But if he had listened, it would have gone a lot different.
I'll be living on the hills with you. So, I always like to reemphasize the name of the podcast being Just Takes a Village. Mm-hmm. Who are some of the members of your village that got you to where you are right now? Doesn't have to be a whole bunch. It could be, 2, maybe 3 people.
The people that got me to where I am, that I'm able to share the information of, it's people that I came in contact in my work environment, my work experience. They're the ones that says X, Y, and Z. Do this. Invest in the stock market. Start out little. Learn this. My peers, my friends, they were knowledgeable about that, so they couldn't give that.
They couldn't give that to you, right?
It was people that I came into when I was working,
right?
That was willing to if they like you, they'll say X, Y, and Z.
Right.
You understand?
The likability.
Yeah.
Plays a very key part.
Yeah.
So your case is very different. So your village weren't just, I guess, your normal friends.
No.
Your village was whatever environment you were in the workspace that you were able to learn. Now, a lot of people don't realize these books right here are all books that really mean the world to me. This book right here, Susie Orman's The Money Book for the Young, Fabulous, and Broke. That was the first financial book you ever gave me.
Right.
That was the first financial. And it's funny because Susie Orman was working at Taco Bell.
Yeah.
Right? I think she was making $5 an hour.
And she was living in her car too.
Living in her car.
And then she got a job at a brokerage firm.
And then she hit that stock market. Yeah. And I remember reading that book. Because
right.
that was another book that I mentioned in the I got that book, guys, when I was 13 years old. And that was like starting the journey of me wanting to become a stockbroker. But y'all know the hug that changed my life. So listen, I don't want to keep you long. Obviously, I know you live upstairs. But we want to, I personally want to tell you thank you for all the help, all the continued help, for keeping all of my artwork from elementary school. I found it in a folder the other day. Yeah. But I want to say thank you for teaching me these skills.
I'm still teaching.
I mean, you are. But you taught me $1 million skill in the stock market. You taught me how to literally fix resumes to, make yourself more appealing in the workforce. Yeah. And you taught me how to be social and understanding. And I feel like those are the qualities that take people from this level in life to this level in life. Now, granted, you tried the college thing, didn't work. You've been working literally this whole time.
Yeah, but my generation in the 80s.
Yeah.
There were people that went to college because they wanted to be in a specialized area.
Absolutely.
A career.
So they went to school with purpose.
Right.
Right.
In the 80s, you could have come out of high school and landed yourself with a good city job, state job, or whatever, and you spent 20 years there.
And it's over.
You get your pension.
Social Security.
Your Social Security. Well, depending on how old you are, you could have had 2-3 careers back then.
In that space.
In that space.
Absolutely. I mean, my generation is.
No.
I doubt.
No.
I doubt there's gonna be anything.
No.
But right.
Your generation don't stay at jobs long enough to acquire anything.
We don't.
Anything. I'm 62 and I just started a new job.
Absolutely, congratulations.
And I'm happy about that. I call this job my retirement job.
That's it. You on your way out.
So on my way out, I'm gonna be there let's not say when.
Yeah, but you're gonna be there a little while.
Yeah, I'm gonna be there a little while because I get vested after 5 years.
Absolutely.
So I'm just passing the time with that.
Yeah, so
it's easy.
Right.
The people are nice. I love it.
Very good. So, we're here today and, we want to clap it up for you. We applaud your success. Thank you for coming on the show. I mean, obviously you're going to be a reoccurring guest.
My success is my success. My success is not measured by the world's what they determine as success.
Right.
I'm happy. I like my job. I like my family. I enjoy doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. That's here. But yeah, So we appreciate you. Thank you again for coming on the show. Thank you for your support. Thank you for guiding us in the right direction, even though sometimes we don't listen.
That's right.
Time to go upstairs and watch some TV on my pops.
That's
This is the Just Takes a Village podcast. Thank you for listening.